This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the Horror Fried Podcast. That is Michael Combs.
That is Mike Martin.
And Keith Clanton.
Thank you for joining us. It is our Season 3 premiere.
Woohoo.
Season 3.
Can you believe it?
What a doozy.
Yeah, we have a good season
Third
in
time's
store.
a charm, though, right?
Third time's a charm. And we got third place on the best podcasts in Nashville. So this is going to be a great season. And we have some excellent movies to go over. But before we get into that, let's chat a little. What's everybody been up to over the last few weeks?
Well, Mike's been frozen in his house.
He's been at home.
This is the first time I've broke out in a week.
And I had to go get him.
Yep.
And we made it out alive. To be honest, the roads are not as bad. In case people probably have no idea what we're talking about, it snowed a bunch.
Started Sunday.
I say a bunch. A bunch for Nashville.
It is a lot for Nashville.
It's a lot for Nashville. I'd say what, like 6-7 inches maybe? Mm-hmm. So yeah, the town just shut down for a couple days.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, didn't the whole state shut down?
Oh, yeah.
I saw a picture that was talking about for the first time.
Yeah, it was pretty some widespread snow.
Mm-hmm.
And cold.
And really cold.
And then it rained yesterday. And
then it snowed. It wasn't supposed to snow today, but it snowed more. It snowed all morning.
It did.
Oh, man. Some of us
Winter Wonderland.
Yeah, winter fucking Wonderland over here.
I mean, it didn't bother me at all, but...
Well, we
Mr. Montana over here.
We weren't all raised in Montana. Montana.
Riding buffalo through the snow.
No, he walked barefoot. He walked barefoot through the snow.
That was a snowmobile.
We did have, I got a nice surprise 2 days off. Then I had to turn around and work overtime for. It's fine. So I'm very tired. I'm very tired today. Well, we're all kind of tired, actually.
Working from home.
It's like, you don't get it. It doesn't matter.
Days off anymore. Not for weather and things.
I think we're so tired we should just call it a day. All right, well, that's the episode. Thanks for
going to talk
listening.
about
Enjoyed it.
A good movie, but bye.
So, do you want me to tell the story about Peggy? Because I know you want me to tell Mike, so I figure this is a good time to do it.
Yes, you have to tell the story.
Okay, you guys. So, I feel like people can relate to this, though. A lot of little dogs don't like to get out in the snow, and they're very persnickety about it. And my dogs, Michael was kind enough to take a mop outside, and he made a little trail, to the tree. That way they could see the ground, and they'd use the bathroom there. Well, the dogs went outside. My oldest dogter, she's very temperamental and takes a long time, to decide
very
that
picky.
Perfect blade of grass she's going to take a pee or poo on, okay? So we went outside. We're sitting in the living room. I'm like curled up on the couch just chilling. He's going to laugh already. And I'm sitting there. Peggy's sitting on my lap, which is not uncommon.
She was on the love seat whining because we thought she wanted to get under the blanket.
Yes.
Under our blanket.
Yes. When really she just needed to go outside, but she had just been outside. Okay. Like, I'm talking 3 minutes. Okay. And I'm always like, well, Peggy, get over here. Like, nobody's stopping you from getting over here and getting under the cover. Well, she finally came over and she's like, she's like, calm down, Michael. She's like sitting on my leg. I'm sitting there thinking, God, I feel a little wet. And I look down and this bitch has peed all over me.
She got up on the couch just to pee on him.
Peed all over me and the couch. And when I tell you, it was like, it reminded me of when my mom would try to spank me as a kid and I'd like run away from her and she couldn't. That's what she does. I like tried to give her a little tap on the butt and she tried to go upstairs.
Yeah.
It was awful.
It was a full bladder. It
was
what, just like
golden.
A dribble.
It was a golden retriever sized pee. Like it was a. And like when
I was about to say you got a golden shower.
And well, I did get a golden shower. And when I got up, I didn't realize, I mean, she soaked me. I had to change my underwear. Like, it was awful. Okay? And then probably an hour later, she decided to take a big old dump in the floor.
We had just come back in too then.
Yeah.
And we turned
And
around.
I'm like, please explain to me why it takes you 22 minutes to find a spot to poop outside. But as soon as we come through that threshold, you just drop it
Yep.
wherever you want. And she's like, meh.
She didn't care.
I mean,
It was pretty amusing.
God. Buddy did good, though. But the thing about Buddy is, like, he will not go to the bathroom in the house. But he wasn't going outside either, and he needed to go. And I felt like you took him out
A couple times.
and then I took him out the back, thinking, well, maybe he'll go out in the backyard. And then he'd act like he was ready to come back in, and as soon as that door would shut, he'd start whining. And I was like, motherfucker, you got to figure this out, because it is 8 degrees outside. So that's my story.
I mean, in Peggy's defense,
No.
would you
Is there a defense?
want to put your whole asshole on the icy ground?
I mean, she doesn't put her whole... She squats. It does not touch the ground.
It's still cold.
It does... Okay, well, so is my toilet seat, but
Hardly.
I'm just saying...
It's not an
like,
icy toilet seat.
She was...
She's already out there with her little paws on the icy grass.
Oh, she was shivering, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, bless it. But it's supposed to warm up later this week, so it's going to be a nice tropical 54 or something.
Because you know how we have moments where we say, oh, I mean, I had to go, but it went away. Well, maybe when she got out in the cold, it went away. And then when she came back in.
Her butthole is the size of a fucking $50.
Yeah. You can tell she's
Okay.
like holding it back.
She is like prairie dogging. She's got to go. Anyway, I don't want to talk about my dog pissing on me anymore. What has everybody else been up to? Anybody peeing on y'all?
Well,
No.
Ryan's been away for a week, so I definitely have not been peed on.
Me either.
Are you into that, though?
No, not really.
Okay, well.
I mean, you know what? That's not part of this podcast.
Well,
That's a
we
different
can talk about
podcast.
it. We're friends.
I would just say I'm just not opposed.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
Like, if the mood hit.
I got you. Michael, anything you want to share?
No, I have nothing to add to this conversation.
Okay, great. Well, before we get started, I think we should cheers to the start of season 3. Clink, clink. And we're going to pray for the best. Okay. So season 3 is
But you didn't take a sip.
I've had plenty of sips.
Okay.
Season 3 is all about the supernatural. So, some time ago, we posted something on Instagram. What? Is that funny?
I know where you're going with this story, but
Well, we posted something on Instagram asking people, give us like, what would you like to see us cover next season? Like, we're looking for a topic. Had some really good responses from everybody. But lo and behold, the one response that I got that I thought, oh, that would be a good one, was from our very own Michael Martin.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're doing the
He did the
supernatural.
poll.
I remember you gave me shit about it. Next time I saw you could have just told me in person. You
I
didn't have
did.
to reply to it on Instagram.
You could have just told me. In a brainstorming sesh, you could have just told me. But we thought this would be fun because it covers a little bit of everything. So this season, we're going to have movies about witches. We're going to have movies about werewolves. We're going to have movies about vampires, Satan, possession, ghosts.
It's all over the place.
A little bit
All
of
kind of
everything.
stuff.
So we're very excited about it. And there's quite a few movies that I have not seen on our list.
I've seen a lot of
Which-
them. I'm excited.
I was going to say, I feel like this is kind
To
of
talk
the
about
first
these.
season that, while there's quite a few I haven't seen, this is also the first season with several that I have. So it's like a good mix.
And I feel like we did a good job this season of like, we each picked, five movies? And so then we just kind of came, was that not right? 6, 7? 6 movies. And then there's a few given ones, I think. Like, I think Rosemary's Baby is one. was one of the ones we're like, yeah, we'll do that. It's a classic. If you are interested in the full list of films that we'll be covering this season, so you can watch along with us, we do have a trailer up on the Horror Fried Podcast Instagram page. It is pinned at the top, so just give it a little click and you can see what we're going to be covering this year. Now, have you ever married a man so desperate for stardom that he became friendly with a group of satanic senior citizens and agreed to have you carry the son of the devil himself?
Can't say I have.
No. I've had a lot of crazy guys in my life, though, but not like that.
Oh, I bet you have. Well, today we're going to be talking about Rosemary's Baby.
Dreams I have.
You witches! God is dead! Hey, Satan lives!
You're lying! You're lying! This is no dream. This is really happening.
Rosemary's Baby is a 1968 American psychological horror film written and directed by Roman Polanski based on Ear Levin's 1967 novel of the same name. The movie stars Mia Farrow as Rosemary Woodhouse, John Cassavetes as Guy Woodhouse, Ruth Gordon as Minnie Cassavetes. Is that how you say it? Oh, these last names. Sidney Blackmer as Roman Cassavetes, Maurice Evans as Hutch, and Ralph Bellamy as Dr. Abraham Saperstein. Michael,
Yes.
for the first time this season, kick us off.
So the movie opens with views of the city and some lady singing. La la.
Is that Mia Farrow?
La la la. I don't know who that is.
It sounds like Mia Farrow to me. That was one thing
It's
I wanted.
creepy. I don't know who it is though.
That's one thing I wanted to look up, and I didn't. So I feel like I'm doing a disservice to everybody, all 12 listeners, because I don't know if it's her or not.
Very 60s
Yes,
horror movie.
It
though.
is very 60s.
So we then see a and a landlord taking a tour of an apartment building, and then they specifically tour an apartment of a deceased lady.
It's a cozy little place, don't
It
you think?
is.
I mean, that's a word for it. I was like, there's a lot of shit in here.
It was
Oh, in that
completely
lady's
furnished,
apartment?
though,
Yes.
right? She didn't
A
take
lot.
anything with her.
She was an herbalist.
Well, she didn't take anything with her. Well, she died, so...
Can't take it with you when you go.
No, but did
Good
they
observation.
But didn't they say something about, like, her son or nephew or something was going to leave everything? Like, he already got what he wanted or something? Maybe I made that
No,
up.
I think they said, maybe it said something like, for a price, they would leave it furnished.
They would leave the furniture.
Or
yes.
something.
Yes.
I do remember there was a note.
Could you imagine going to a funeral? Oh, she's buried with her couch. That's so sweet.
That'd be a big hole.
Oh, she's got her ashtray.
Back in the 60s,
I
they
know.
probably wanted to be buried with their
Owl-shaped
ashtray.
ashtray. Cute.
I was thinking more of those upright ones where you have the little
Oh, yeah.
The little handle where you can just, like,
open
empty
it.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a note that I think Rosemary saw that she had written to herself where she put, "I can no longer associate myself," which is kind of like a
Foreshadowing.
of things.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, there was herbs
Yes.
everywhere. She was an herbalist.
It is a fixer-upper. But what's
It's a big apartment, though, for New York,
it's really
I felt like.
big. And, like, the hallways and stuff, I mean, it does kind of look decrepit and, like, worn down. But the apartment itself, obviously very old, a little gothic a little bit.
It was
but
kept
it's
up,
not
though.
like, yeah, definitely.
The weird thing, though, about the apartment is
That dresser.
there's a secretary. They call it
yeah.
a secretary, which is a word from the 60s. We'd probably call it a dresser. Was covered in front of a closet. And so they pull it out, and all that's in the closet was what? A vacuum?
A vacuum cleaner.
And towels.
And some towels. And they're like, why some more foreshadowing
Yes, it is.
I mean, they pretty much laid the groundwork for you a little bit.
in that first little bit.
Well, okay, so before we get too far into it, I feel like this is a movie that pretty much tells you what's happening the whole time. Like, there's no surprise element.
We know
like,
where it's going, yeah.
Yeah, you know where it's going the whole time. Like, there's a certain point in the movie you're like maybe you could be on the fence, but I feel like for the most part it's pretty straightforward. Like, there's no surprise twist. And
Right.
obviously
Yes.
this wasn't the first time I'd watched it, but the first time I did watch, like, I don't remember being like, oh my God, never saw that coming.
Clutching your pearls.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty straightforward movie.
So no surprise, they take the apartment, and then they find out that some shady characters have lived there in the past from their current landlord and friend, Hutch.
Yes.
Do you guys remember the people that lived there? Because I wrote their names down.
I wrote sisters.
Yeah, the Trench
Trench
sisters.
sisters.
Trench sisters.
Because they ate their niece.
They ate their niece, yes.
Yep.
Because they called the space Black Branford.
Yes.
Because I guess so many deaths happened there.
Well, because it's called the Bram, right?
Yes.
For short.
Adrian Mikado lived there.
Adrian Micardo, yes.
Hutch says he was into witchcraft, I believe, or someone says he was into witchcraft.
Yes.
And then someone named Keith Kennedy, which I had to write down because obviously your name's Keith. So,
Definitely.
so a lot of weird shit.
Probably a real sketchy guy, that Keith Kennedy.
Definitely went down at that brownstone or apartment. It's not a brownstone, but
Brownstone. Like
apartment.
Caroline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Brownstone Restaurant. I wonder if that's still open. It's like way off topic, but I'm curious. I wonder if the Brownstone's still open. I'm going to have to look that
Those Manzos.
up. I know. It's hard to keep up with those Manzos. Okay, so the first night in their little house, they're sitting on the ground eating, I believe, Chinese food, right?
There.
When she's like,
Hey,
let's make love.
let's make love. Like, it's so random.
Who doesn't do that?
Okay, but then he's like, okay, and they just like undress so uniformly, and I'm like, where's the spontaneity? Like, y'all are just.
Spontaneity's one thing. You don't even want to just like undress each other.
There's
though?
like, I just
No.
feel like this is no foreplay. They're just getting naked.
They're just
7
getting right
minutes
to
in
business.
heaven.
Because it just, and the way that he was getting undressed was like a flopping dead fish on the ground.
Like they were getting ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
Well, he just like laid down on his back and was like kicking his like jeans off,
Trying to
like he
get 'em
couldn't
off?
get them off.
Oh.
And I was like,
But who can't
bro,
relate
this
to
is just
that?
not a very like.
And that floor was dusty as hell. I would not be. First of all, I would not be eating Chinese food on. Well, I don't like Chinese food, but I wouldn't be eating food sitting on that dusty ass floor. Certainly wouldn't be risking getting whatever is on that floor up in my manhole. I don't know. My cooter coo.
Go grab one of those towels from that closet that was covered up.
Hell, they could have
Get the
taken the vacuum
vacuum
cleaner and
Yeah.
that dead woman's vacuum.
We should say at this point, all the furniture was gone. Everything
Yeah,
had
they
been
took
taken out of
everything
the
out.
apartment. So
Yeah, they didn't just choose to sit on the floor and have sex.
no, they
No.
had nothing there.
But then they have right after that's when they have their little like montage of them fixing
Yep.
up the house,
We-
and they do a really good job.
That came to my next point.
Oh, great! Go ahead, continue. Sorry.
Just paint wallpaper and drapes. You have a
Yeah.
whole montage of them.
Well, you know, they say paint can do a lot to a house.
Well, it did.
But the floor to me even looked a little different. Like maybe it was just clean, but I almost
Maybe
felt
they
like the
waxed it.
hardwood looked a little different.
They could have waxed it
You
or
know?
refinished it.
What I love best about this scene is like, whatever, everything's very bright. It looks very. Look, Rosemary is a homemaker, okay? Because it looked very good, very cute, very cozy after she was finished with that. But I love that the little sketchy closet she puts like paper on.
Yeah.
On the
Oh, yeah,
shelf,
yeah,
that
yeah.
patterned
My
paper.
mom did that. You put
Okay, well, that was very popular back in the day. Like,
Yeah.
I remember that. But it's funny because then her husband comes home and she's like, "Oh, look, patterned paper," and then they all like start making out, and I'm like,
He got turned
that's
on by-
what it takes. Patterned paper on your shelf.
Oh, that's
to
Well,
get
what-
look,
your
it was the
man
late
going.
60s.
I'm going to start doing that.
Oh, before I forget to mention this, okay, before I forget to mention this, okay, did Mia Farrow remind you of anybody in this movie?
All right.
Because the whole movie, especially at the beginning, like there was a few things that she would say and she'd look around and smile. Emma Roberts. 110%. I was like, literally, that's...
Really? No, I definitely didn't get that.
Next time you watch it, just pay attention. There's a few little things she does with her face when she's talking or whatever. And I was like, that is Emma Roberts. Which is funny because Emma Roberts is in that mediocre season of American Horror Story that's out.
Yeah, with
and
the
it's
baby
kind
stuff.
of...
Rosemary-esque? Rosemary Babies-esque?
Yeah. So, anybody watching this movie at home, like, definitely, like, keep that in mind. And I feel like you'll see the similarities.
So
I just got what's-her-face from Single White Female.
Really?
After the hair chop and all that?
Oh, well, that doesn't come till later.
Yeah.
So Rosemary meets their neighbor's house guest when she's downstairs doing laundry.
Terry?
Miss Terry.
Terry Delgado? No?
That
Terry-
sounds right. Delgado, something like that.
Something like-
Italian.
It was
or-
Italian.
Terry, who I'm assuming was previously a lady of the night, is what it sounds like. She doesn't flat out say that.
But she
I
she
think
was living on the
she
streets.
did drugs, and she did other things she's not proud of, a.k.a. sucking
Sex-
a guy for $5.
Yeah.
Well, times are hard sometimes.
Got to survive somehow.
No, I'm not judging her. I'm just saying I feel like she was a lady of the night. And obviously we know why they were inviting her to be their house guest. Which,
Right.
hello.
Terry also shows Rosemary this charm that the Cassavetes have given to her.
That apparently reeks.
And Rosemary says, "Oh, that stinks."
Yeah.
And it's tennis root, which you told me while we were watching is not a real thing.
It's not. I looked it up. I'm like, is tannis root like a thing? It's not. They made it up for the movie.
Or the book. I guess it's in the book.
Or made it up for the book.
Well, because, I know that, like, at some point, all the stuff comes kind of back around, but, like, I assume it was just, like, mold. Isn't that what we talk about at some point? It smells like mold.
Well, they said it smells like mold, but yeah.
Apparently it stinks. In the book,
What does
well,
that
that's
smell like, I
that's
wonder?
later. In the book, she finds out it's called something else.
Did you read the book?
No, in the book that she got.
Yeah.
Oh.
In the book she got. That
Whew,
comes up
I need
later.
to stop drinking.
So later
Dead
that
lady
night,
buried with her ashtrays.
later that night, Rosemary and Guy can hear chanting coming from the apartment behind their master bedroom wall, which happens to be the Cassavetes.
The Cassavetes. Those walls must be paper thin.
I would be like, what the? I would be freaked out if I heard that. Sorry. but-
I would be banging on my door.
Keep it
or my wall
down.
saying, shut the fuck up.
Well, because did it already happen where, like, they had heard something else and they made the comment about, like, oh, I think I hear the Trench Sisters or
yes.
whatever.
Yes.
They did.
And
And then it happened the same night, the same day that Rosemary meets Terry.
yeah.
So it's that night.
Well, the chanting happens, but then what happens
The dream?
afterwards?
Is that the dream? Is that the first
So-
dream?
Oh, she does have a weird dream.
She does have a...
Which I feel like didn't even...
I did write it down. There's a dream sequence here. And then...
Don't you think the dream sequence is a little strange? She's...
Well, I think
Oh,
that's
it doesn't happen yet.
Oh.
Coming home, they discover Terry has killed herself by jumping out the window. The Cassavetes show up during this, and Rosemary contradicts some things that are said by, I would guess, Minnie.
She contradicts.
Yes, Minnie says some things, and Rosemary's like, no, this is actually what happened.
Well, and they said she didn't have any family, and she does say
That's
no.
the big
she had a
thing.
brother.
That
she
was
has a
in the
brother that's in the
military.
Navy,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
and she hadn't spoken to him. But like,
Which is obviously they're lying, because how would Rosemary, who met her for 10 minutes, know that over...
someone
people
that she
she's
was
been living
living
with.
with. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
They just didn't seem very
Concerned.
concerned.
No,
No.
if I'd be freaking out if someone that lived with me had just killed themselves. They're like, oh...
Well, because
Very nonchalant.
Bless her heart.
Roman, is his name Roman?
Roman.
Makes a comment about something about, oh, she's been really depressed for the last 3 weeks or whatever. And
Rosemary said, she seemed to be in fine spirits when I met her.
See,
yeah.
the contradiction.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It's
But-
all coming together for me. Got it.
because then Minnie makes it out like she just doesn't want to believe that was even an option. Like, there's no way that she could have killed herself.
Yeah.
But
But there she was, bloody on the sidewalk.
And
it
that
looked like her
eye
or
looked like-
something
Yeah,
was.
it did look like her eye had been punctured or something.
Yeah.
But of course, what I noticed was that charm necklace in the puddle of blood.
Of course.
But also, I've already seen this movie before, so I kind of knew.
So then we do have that dream sequence you talked about, Mike, which isn't as crazy as the other dream sequence hallucination we have later. But there's a dream sequence. And then Minnie comes over and talks to Rosemary. And Minnie invites Rosemary and Guy over for dinner.
Yes. So, obviously, Minnie is a nosy bitch. Rosemary even says it herself. She's quite nosy.
Yes.
You know?
How much does that chair cost?
Oh, yes, she does, doesn't
Yeah.
she? She asks about how much
She
the
just
furniture costs.
walks right in
She
like
sure
she owns
does.
the place.
Yeah. But it's almost a little... It's kind of charming, too. Because she almost seems like she'd be the type of gal. Like, she don't care what you're into, who you are. Like, I'm Minnie. I love everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, she obviously knew her way around this apartment, too.
Oh,
Well, she
yeah.
mentions that she was
'Cause-
good friends with
Yes.
the previous owner.
Because she talks about, oh, you did this, it looks so much better. And blah, 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 blah. Like, so obviously.
Well, and at one point they say that, like, a lot of the things that Minnie makes, she got her herbs from this lady.
Yeah.
Like, they do talk about that, so they're clearly friends. But, yeah, so dinner at the Cassavetes. Okay, so I have
They have a
question.
steak and cake dinner.
Okay, but what is a vodka blush?
I
Because
don't
they
know. I
serve a
don't mind
vodka
it.
blush,
I
right?
thought it looked like this. It literally
It just-
looks like a vodka
It was
cranberry.
a little more pink, though. So I'm wondering if maybe there was some
They
like
didn't like
Sprite
it.
or something in it.
Or maybe it was like vodka and rosé or something.
Could
Maybe,
be that.
Maybe.
'Cause it
God,
had a
could you imagine? I don't think I'd
Pinkness
like
to
that.
it.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't like it. You could tell Rosemary didn't like it.
No.
Also, before they went to the dinner and Rosemary brings it up to Guy that, hey, they invited us over, his reaction just kind of made me laugh because I'm like, I feel like that's Ryan. When he was just like, do we really have to do this? Like, are we really going to go over there? I really don't
Well,
want to.
she does say, well, this won't be an every night thing. We're just going to go for dinner because they invited us. And it's just funny because it turns out he's over there all the time
Right.
later on, right? So yeah, I'm gonna have to look up what a vodka blush is because I'm very curious. But I just felt like, I would be friends with Minnie. Hell, even Roman was a nice old man. Like
They were
they're
very personable.
sweet.
Yeah.
You know, they seem very interested. Of course, obviously, knowing what we know about the movie, like there's a reason they're interested. You know, but go ahead.
Oh, well, so, because I don't know if this is like something that was even worth noticing, but it is something that I noticed. Did you notice like there were several times that we like get repetitive things like said throughout this movie?
Like what?
Like anytime Rosemary's talking about Guy and she literally says it over and over again. Oh, he was in Luther and he was in this. And then now he just does a lot of
A
television.
ton of commercials.
Oh, she does say that.
Just
a
says
lot.
it like 3 or 4 times. But then in this scene where like Roman is kind of walking around, he literally says the same thing about being somebody that's like, oh yeah, I've been there. I've, been all over the world or whatever he talks about.
Uh-huh.
And he says this like 2 or 3 times.
Oh, maybe I didn't know that.
And then
didn't
Minnie
notice
makes the comment about like
that.
taking his pill or whatever. And I was like, well, maybe he's like dementia or something. Because he's 79, right?
Yeah.
We know that. But
I definitely noticed that about Rosemary, but I didn't notice it at their dinner.
I didn't either, but Rosemary does say that a lot.
I just feel like Rosemary, though, it's probably almost like out of habit because
her
the
man's
60s.
like an
Oh,
actor.
you're married. What does your husband do? It's always
He's an
What does the
actor.
husband do? So this.
What
is
have
like
I seen
something
him
she
in?
said
That's what it always-
100 times. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they go back home. Guy tells Rosemary he is going over there the next evening to visit, but Rosemary says she is not going to go.
And they also say that that they noticed all their pictures had been taken down.
I think that's a good point, yes.
They can see all the hooks or the nails in
But
the
the
wall
pictures
from
are all
where the
gone.
pictures were, but there's no pictures hanging up. So
Which later,
obviously there's a reason for
Yes.
that, right? We don't know yet, but
Well, isn't this whole conversation at dinner when they bring up all the stuff with like the Pope and all his religious affiliations and all this stuff? Because I just remember the one thing where I think Minnie is the one that says it. Something about him being like, don't let him fool you just because he's like a whatever doesn't mean he's like a holy person. Or so, it was something like that.
yeah. And doesn't like Rosemary say, well, he is the Pope,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
I just felt like, obviously, more foreshadowing
Yeah.
to things to come.
It was almost, it made me think like Rosemary was saying, well, you don't necessarily have to agree with everything he does, but you should respect him. He's the Pope.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. So the next day, Roman has gone over there, so Rosemary stayed behind, and Minnie and her friends show up,
God, what is her?
and they make...
Laura Louise.
Laura Louise.
Fuck Laura Louise.
I love how one pulls out knitting and the other one pulls out cross-stitching.
Like it wasn't planned. Like y'all just carry this around.
Yeah, they just plunk themselves down on the couch and the chair and start... I've been like, what are you doing?
Well, right.
But I also think Rosemary's just very nice.
She is.
And now that she's had dinner with them, she's gotten to know them a little better. And she's like, okay, they're sweet. They're like my grandparents. Like they're being nurturing and want to make sure that we're...
Except for all she wanted to do was put music on and read her book.
That's true.
She wanted to be alone, damn it.
How do you... But, okay. I can't listen to music and read a book.
I can't either.
I can't
No, I
have
can.
the TV on and read a book.
I can.
I have a really hard time. Like if I'm on a plane with a book, like I have a hard time focusing, and it'll take me
Because of all the
the
noises?
entire flight to read 10 pages because there's too much going on. Yeah.
I read a whole book one trip that you and I took.
Did you?
Yeah,
Was I asleep?
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't read if there's like people talking.
I'm good
if,
at tuning people and things out.
I wish I could though. Like I would love to just read an entire flight, but I can't do it. Anyway.
So the whole guise of this, though, is to give Rosemary that charm,
Okay.
which I don't think Minnie realized at that point that she had seen, because Terry had showed her it in the basement, because she was like, oh.
Yeah, but even Rosemary doesn't act surprised when she gets it. She's just like, oh, it's beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, you've seen it before. And it was in a puddle of blood 2 nights ago.
See,
I
I
think she
think that
was
was just back to she was being
You
nice.
think she was just being nice?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think that she just didn't. She wanted to act surprised. It was a gift,
It was a re-gift.
but she didn't
From
know
a dead
that.
woman.
Rosemary did know that.
Well, no, I'm talking about Minnie. Like
Oh.
she
Yes,
didn't
Minnie
know
didn't.
that.
Rosemary knew. I think she was just being nice. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not
I don't
gonna
know. I
call
just
this
thought she
out.
wasn't like hesitant at all. And I feel like I probably would have been like, I would have been polite about it, but I also think I would have been a little like caught off guard. She didn't seem caught off guard.
I just think it goes back to what you said. She was just being friendly. So we should say that Guy has been like going out for roles and things this whole time. He has
Yes.
not been getting anything, and he just recently got rejected for another job.
Yes, he is the Daniel Baldwin of the Baldwin brothers.
Yes. So after this, Guy gets a call that he got a part he was turned down for. The actor that had initially been hired for the role had suddenly gone blind,
Dun dun dun.
which seems weird, but
Well, not only that, but he's like swimming in offers all of a sudden.
Yes.
You know, they're like, he's like the most sought after guy in,
New York.
New York.
well, New York. Yeah, but I was going to say like just period. It seems like he's getting all these, he's swimming in offers. Okay. So we also find out too that the tennis route, because she tells her what the tennis route is, she says, you'll get used to the smell. It's for good luck.
Sure, Jan. Mm-hmm. Sure, it's for good luck. So I'm not 100% sure on this part. I wasn't sure if Rosemary was talking to Hutch or if she was having a therapy session. after this. She was talking to someone because she says she's having problems with Guy. He's basically ignoring her. Actors are self-centered.
On the phone?
No, in person.
God, why don't I remember this?
Well, I remember her talking to somebody on the phone. But
And then she comes home after this. No, this is in person. She comes home after this, and that's when all the carnations are in the apartment.
Oh my God, carnations too. Like, you want to win your woman over? Get her a bunch of cheap ass carnations.
This is 1965.
I'm just saying right now, if I came home and there was a bunch of carnations in here, I'd be like, get them, every one of them out of here.
That's kind of snobbish.
Take them back to Kroger where they belong.
That's awful.
It's a carnation.
well, she probably
It's the
walked
sentiment
in,
behind it.
Probably smelled like a funeral home.
Well, that's okay. Okay, so that's a really good point, because when I think of I just think of a cheap flower. And when you go to a funeral, what do you see a lot of? Carnations. And all those, no.
Oh my God, you are Samantha. Do you remember that episode, Sex and the City?
Yeah.
What?
It doesn't matter.
Well, oh, okay. I never watched the I mean, I watched the show, but not like, you know.
You like the movie.
Yeah, like the movie.
So she's come home to a room full of carnations after she had just told, I'm not sure if it's a therapist or Hutch, I'm sorry, people, but she was talking to someone about their problems. He then says, let's have a baby. Out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't, like, I get so caught up in the things that we're not seeing sometimes that, like, because, you know, I want to know, obviously he's been talking to them, Roman and
Yeah,
stuff.
I want to see those conversations.
And, like, I want to know what is being said to the point that he's, at this point, kind of getting involved. We don't know to what extent, really, but we know that he's involved.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when he said that, and it's just like, because obviously we kind of know what's coming, but I was like, I mean, how did this escalate?
Yeah, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Really quickly. Well, I think part of it is all of a sudden he's swimming in these offers, and it's like whatever's going on,
He's
is
gonna
working.
keep doing
whatever he's signed up for, it's working. You know, so whatever I got to do to get to the next step, if that's having a baby, air quotes, whatever. You know,
I think it's that, but I also think it's to pacify Rosemary. She feels like there's
She
problems.
does, yes.
This will keep her occupied. This is what she wants.
Was this
all along?
Was this when they were gonna go have their little, like, dinner together?
That does come up. So they have the drinks in front of the fireplace,
Right.
and then
and
they
she
have.
says, "I hope we have the coldest winter ever."
Yes.
Bitch, come to Tennessee.
So then that night they're supposed to conceive the baby. They're having dinner, and Minnie miraculously comes over with her famous chocolate mousse dessert.
Yeah, chocolate mousse.
Wow.
And Guy thinks it's delicious.
Right.
And
I mean,
Rosemary's
this
just
is
sitting there. Well,
She does say it's good.
the first bite, and then she's like, "No,
It
this
has
is
a chalky aftertaste.
undertaste.
undertaste."
Yes. Yes, that's because I remember when
And then
she
Guy
said it, I
gets-
was like, undertaste.
Guy gets very defensive for something he did not make.
Yeah, and he's like, just eat it. Just eat it. She's a nice old lady. Eat the mousse.
She's not here. She doesn't have to know I didn't eat it.
But what I love about it, and I guess I never thought about this before watching it, but she does take a few bites, but then she pours the rest of it in her napkin, and she's like, oh, it was delicious. I gobbled it all up. You know, but it's in her napkin, which explains in the next scene that we're probably going to talk about why she's coherent and she remembers things, right?
Yes.
Can we just talk about the fact that she tried to save that napkin?
This is
Girl, just throw that
65.
thing
Those
away.
napkins are expensive.
Oh, yeah,
She's
they
trying
were-
to scrape it
Well, they
off
were
in the
cloth
garbage
napkins,
can.
right?
Yes.
Honey, she got that at Crate and Barrel.
She's trying to.
With a $60
This,
napkin.
this is 65. It's
Like-
Macy's.
Oh,
Or cash or not.
cast or not.
Yeah, she's scraping that napkin off into the trash. So while that's happening, it gets dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
Guy takes Rosemary and gets her into bed.
But do you think, though, didn't Rosemary seem like, even though she was a little dizzy, like she almost acted like a little like seductive. Like she was doing it like, oh, what was like, oh, take care of me, daddy. Like
Maybe.
it wasn't like it didn't seem like she was startled or worried about, because they had drinks.
They were having cocktails.
So it's almost like she was feeling a little frisky.
Well, I think she might have been until she straight up fell on the floor walking to
did
the
fall on the
bedroom.
Oh, she hit that hard,
Yeah.
too. I'm like, that had to have been real, because she, like, fucking hit her hip so hard on the floor.
Because, I mean, at first, yeah, like, you would think, oh, like, I'm feeling a little tipsy. I'm feeling frisky. Come on, hubby, let's walk to the room.
And then breaks her hip on the floor.
And then she literally just
Yeah.
falls out.
Because I think he like physically picks her up, right?
Yes.
Puts her in the bed. Okay, I'm not gonna. It was creepy to me though when he's undressing her, and maybe it's because I know what's gonna happen, you know.
But she even says,
but
why are you undressing me? Or you're undressing me?
him undressing her, like it didn't feel like he was getting ready for bed.
No.
like it was.
Well, Lord, he didn't even undress her when they did have sex.
Right?
Yeah,
So why all of a sudden did he care? Yeah.
I don't know. I started to feel a little icky, you know.
So she starts having, I'm going to call them hallucinations. They're not dreams. And towards the end of these hallucinations, she does scream, oh my God, this is really happening.
This is really happening. Because she's sort of coherent. Like, again, she didn't eat all that.
And I think it's because what you
desserts.
said. Had she eaten the whole dessert, she'd been
would
out.
not- Yep.
Right.
But she knows what's going on. So that's the scene.
Yes, the rape scene.
The rape scene. And you
So do you really think all those people had been there chanting naked?
Oh, totally
all those
watching.
old people.
They were 100% watching. Like that. I think that just like the ritual or whatever. I think it's part of the ritual. Like they have to be there. They're all naked. They're chanting. Like that's what I think. That's just
So this whole
part of it.
hallucination is weird. I feel like there's a boat. They're on a boat.
Yeah, her mattress is in the water.
It's very. You know what it reminded me of for some
What?
reason is when what's his face from Brain Damage gets the juice in his head for the first time, and he's like hallucinating and going off. That's what it reminded me of.
Oh, okay.
Isn't the Pope there?
Is he?
Yeah, he like comes out of the shadows during the rape scene. Because she's like actively being raped and talking to the Pope while being...
That whole thing
Maybe
is
he does.
weird. It is very weird. I like how they shot it, but
Yeah.
you know, she did literally get demon seed.
Uh-huh.
Poor thing.
What a term.
So she wakes up with scratches all over her back,
Mm-hmm.
and Guy says to her, "Oh, I had sex with you while you were sleeping. It was kind of necrophilia."
I can't with
That
that.
was gross.
Like,
I didn't want to miss the night.
yes, I wrote that down and I was like, if anybody told me that they... First of all, that you just slept with me and I was not aware of it. But
And then compared it
you
to
tell me
necrophilia?
that like it kind of got you off because it was very necrophilia. I'm
Yeah,
like,
what the fuck are you into?
What?
Red flags.
Who did I marry? Yeah. It was creep, which again, having known that, like when he's undressing her, that makes it even more creepy. Because, anyway, whatever.
He's the kind of guy that would literally like
His
fuck somebody.
His
in a
career
morgue.
is more important than
It is.
than his wife.
It is.
Giving her up to Satan.
It is.
the ultimate betrayal.
Yes.
So she goes to see a Dr. Hill about maybe being pregnant, and she does find out that she is pregnant.
Yes. And Dr. Hill has been recommended by one of her girlfriends.
Yes.
So I think that's important to
I would
note.
like to note at this point, during watching this, they said Dr. Hill, and I immediately went to Reanimator because one of the people in Reanimator's name is Dr. Hill. So I wonder
Do you
if
think that was a
there's-
coincidence?
I probably was, for sure.
Oh. I mean, Hill's a pretty common last name.
Yeah,
I have
but in these
cousins with
horror
that last name.
movies-
No, I know. I know. Well, and so I'm not sure when this happens, but at one point, Rosemary makes a comment about Guy hasn't been looking at you. Haven't been.
That's in
looking
my
at
notes,
me.
too.
And I'm like, yeah, bitch, because he's guilty because he literally let Satan rape you for
Well, yeah,
a
I
career.
mean, that's his guilty conscience kicking in.
You know, and when she finds out she's pregnant and she tells him, he is so anxious to tell
like-
Roman and Minnie.
That's the first thing.
That's the first.
Like,
Well, because she
not
didn't
tell
wanna
my
tell
parents,
anybody.
not tell your parents.
No, she
We're
didn't
gonna go
want to. She wanted to
Cassavetes.
keep it a secret. I mean, a lot of people do. A lot of people don't tell anybody until
Especially
after
after
like,
the
first,
third
yeah,
trimester.
because anything can happen.
It's
But, like,
superstitious,
he
yeah.
runs out the door to
Well,
tell
he
them.
literally tells them, he's like, "Oh, well, we should at least tell them because they know we're trying."
Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that her friends and stuff know that she's trying.
Hell, her
Like,
parents probably know.
yeah.
Exactly. Wouldn't your parents be the first people
But
you'd tell?
it makes me wonder. I wonder if anything happened to her parents because she doesn't really ever mention them, and I feel like Hutch is very much her father figure
Oh, definitely. I
in
can
this.
see
So
that.
I wonder if she has contact with her parents. Obviously, that's not like they don't ever talk about it, but
Yeah.
But you're going to tell some people you just met 2 weeks ago?
The only
Right.
thing we know, though, is that because the conversation she had with Minnie washing dishes, she talks about how fertile her family is, and there's like
Oh, because there's all kinds of...
20 cousins
nieces
or
and
nieces and
nephews.
Oh, that's
nephews
right.
or whatever.
Yes.
So,
maybe the family's so big she didn't feel like a connection or something. Anyway,
Could be.
just
So
something I thought about while watching it.
Roman and Minnie make a beeline over there to celebrate, and during that conversation, Minnie brings up her friend, Dr. Abe Saperstein, who she should go see.
He's the best in New York.
who she goes and randomly calls at whatever time of night and
Can I use your phone?
and gets
In the
an
bedroom?
appointment just
Lickety split.
and is very skeptical, like very sketchy on the phone with like what she's saying.
Yeah.
Afterwards, yeah,
She also starts wearing the necklace
she does.
after this. Like that night, she starts wearing the necklace.
She does.
So she goes to see Dr. Saperstein, who tells her Minnie will make her a daily vitamin drink from her herb garden. There's no prenatal vitamin pills good enough for you. It's herb drink from Minnie.
You know,
Red
what
flag.
you know what it looked like, though?
Cookies and cream melted down.
I literally,
Yeah.
yes, a cookies and cream milkshake. And honestly, like, I probably would have drank it. Like, it looked pretty good.
The first sign of anything green in it, you would not have drank that.
Well, no, I couldn't remember, and I was expecting it to be like this gross looking green because
Like
that's
green
what it all
juice.
is, you know.
Yeah.
But then she brings it over, and I was like, "Oh, honey, that looks like a milkshake. I'll drink that."
So Rosemary goes out and gets her pixie haircut at Vidal Sassoon.
And she looks so good.
And Guy is an asshole
He hates it.
over it. Yeah, I thought she looked cute. She just wanted to look cute, and he was a jerk.
I feel like that was also a very much a sign of the times.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
men used to want their women to have long hair,
Be more
and
feminine.
be more feminine, and
Yeah.
that
But-
short hair is just
Those pixie cuts started to grow in popularity, though, probably around that time, I would say, right? But I thought she looked so good. I honestly hated the shoulder length hair. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah, the
So,
little
like,
short
boring,
pixie
you
looked
know?
cute.
She
It
looked
just
really
looked-
good.
Stepford wife-ish to me.
Basic.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
So they then go and play Scrabble, and she has a moment in the bedroom.
What
I
is
think
that?
she must have had a breakdown in the bedroom
Oh, okay.
over everything. Then the next day, Hutch comes over for a visit,
Mm-hmm.
and during the visit, Roman comes
Guess
over.
who comes knocking on the door?
There's Roman,
And Hutch is extremely suspicious.
as he should be.
Extremely suspicious, right? Okay, well, here's the thing.
Is-
Go ahead.
Is this when she notices his ears?
Are pierced,
Yes.
yes.
That he has
Because
pierced
she's
ears.
like, isn't it funny? His ears are pierced.
He's
Yeah.
79 years old. Like, okay. He's a headbanger. So Hutch says, because they talk about Saperstein, oh, she sings Saperstein is the best doctor in New York. Does Hutch not say that two of his grandchildren
Yes.
were...
He was a doctor for
yes.
the birth of two of his grandchildren.
Okay, so I never... maybe I missed it, but is that actually true?
No, I think it is true. Hutch,
It is true. So Saperstein's an actual doctor.
he's an actual doctor, but he's also part of
Right.
what we find out
Right.
later. Yes.
Okay. Because I was a little confused by that. Because at first I was like, well, maybe Hutch is saying this to like maybe get him to spill some stuff.
So Hutch's
but-
daughters are daughter-in-law's got prenatal vitamins.
Yes.
Unlike
Rosemary.
Yes.
Who gets a milkshake.
Yes, exactly.
Cookies and cream milkshake.
So Hutch leaves, but I think we should note during this, as he's leaving, he realizes one of his winter gloves is missing.
Yes,
it's
it is.
gone. And he thinks maybe he dropped it somewhere, so he leaves. So after this, Hutch calls later that evening to set up a meeting with Rosemary. He says it is urgent. And then the next day, when she goes to meet him, he does not show up.
Nope.
Why does he not show up?
Because
You
he's
tell me.
fallen ill.
He's gone into a coma.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because who is it? Somebody, Grace?
Yeah, it's a friend of his, right?
Yes.
Answers the phone.
Yes.
Is that when she's in the phone booth? And that really weird guy's just like standing
No.
out?
No,
That's when she's trying to call.
That's towards the end of the
Yeah.
end of the movie.
That's when she's trying to call Dr. Hill.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That is
And he was unresponsive. He's in a coma. They were supposed to meet at 11. So she was hanging around for a while, hoping he would show up. And then, of course,
because they
never
show a
did.
clock at a few times. It was like 12:30 or 1
Yeah.
o'clock or something by the time she calls and
Yeah.
gets a hold of his friend.
Right.
I don't know why I have to say this before we go into the next part because I missed it. Did anyone see when she made that steak
And cooked it for 2 seconds?
for 2 fucking seconds? Yes.
Literally just psst, psst, and then ate it. And I'm like...
I was like, that's gross.
Who did that?
Rosemary.
Well, I thought she ate like a piece of raw meat at some point. Or is that later?
No, that's earlier in the movie because I have that in my notes
But it
too.
doesn't look like
that
a
was organ.
steak.
That was organ meat.
Yeah.
That was organ meat. This was steak. She literally put it on the frying pan, one side for a second, and then the other side for a second, and then ate it.
Oh my God, I don't remember that.
And to be honest, it was very brown for it to be just on there for a second.
Movie magic, honey.
Yeah.
Movie magic.
She had that oven turned on.
That was
to
frying pan was hot.
Yeah.
Those stoves in the 60s were like top notch.
So
Gas stove.
before we go in the next part, I want to say Rosemary is fucking miserable. You can tell she's miserable. This whole
eyes
Well,
are
and they
pregnancy.
start.
sunken.
I was going to say they start to make her look.
She's lost
Terrible.
weight.
Which is not normal, but according to Saperstein, that's normal when you first get pregnant. It'll all come later because she says that 2 or 3 times, and people are like, "Oh, you look awful."
I know. I feel bad for her. She does look awful though, and she constantly is complaining about pain in her stomach.
Yes.
So it is now. I believe was it the Cassavetes who have the New Year's Eve party? We're now at the
Yes.
New Year's Eve party. It's
Yeah.
now going to be 1966.
Is this before
Yes.
the young people party? Or
Yes, this is
okay.
before the under 60 party.
The young dinner is what
Yes.
they called it.
So
Okay.
the Cassavetes have a New Year's Eve party.
Yes.
And you can just tell she's fucking miserable.
Yeah.
The whole party. This is where she ate the raw organs because I have it in my notes.
After
Eating
she
raw
went
organs.
But she does it at home. Like, it's her house. She doesn't do it at their
Well,
place.
this is the 60s. They did thing.
And she's drinking, like, champagne and stuff. And I'm like, girl, you're pregnant. You shouldn't
I know.
be doing
Yeah,
that.
when they
I
announced
thought
her
of that
pregnancy, they came over with
too.
the
Brought
champagne.
it right over.
Yeah.
My God, this is a different time.
There's all kind of secondhand smoke going on.
Right?
It's like, okay, so this is totally off topic, but I love that part in Hairspray, the musical, when like it's at the very beginning and she's doing the whole Good Morning Baltimore song, but she's walking down and there's 2 pregnant women in a bar drinking martinis and smoking cigarettes and they cheers.
Different time. Yes. So now this is the party. Rosemary has an under 60 party, insists that the Cassavetes are not invited.
What a fun party. It's very 60s.
Yes.
And everybody looks so posh. And it just made me think, okay, what did Rosemary do? Like she has some really pretty friends. All of her girlfriends are gorgeous.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's very 60s.
I want to note, Minnie found out of the party and tried to invite herself. I can do this. I can do that.
Oh, yeah. She was trying to
No.
make herself useful. And Rosemary's like, I've got it all covered. I've got it all covered.
And I also feel like you could tell Guy didn't want to have the party.
No.
Either.
Well, and to what you just said, wondering about like Rosemary's background a little bit. I mean, obviously, if she met she had to have met Guy at some sort of
social event.
Yeah, I mean, if he's like an aspiring actor who's on TV and commercials and stuff.
She did something before they were married. Yeah.
I was going to say, because some of the guys, like, they could have been musicians. The girls were all beautiful. Her 3, like, little girlfriends that, like, console her later on are all beautiful women. So it's like, okay, what was their life like before they moved, you know?
Yeah. So she confides in all of her friends. Well, they say she looks awful, and then
they say she looks like chalk.
Yeah, and then she confides that she's been in pain, and they want to know how long she's like since November, and they are all freaked out, like anyone should be.
The one friend said he sounds like a sadistic nut.
Yeah,
because he's not letting her, you know, do normal pregnant woman things.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
But they know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
Oh my God, my favorite part, because I wrote a note about this, is when they're in there consoling her and Guy tries to come in and she's like, no, this is girl time. Get out. You can see the bartender in the window being like, hey, want another drink? And gives it to Guy, and Guy kind of walks off. I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
It made me giggle.
I'm glad they did that, though. They're like, no, you don't need to be a part of this.
Yeah. So it seems like she's got some really good girlfriends that have her back. So under normal circumstances, I would think they would have a big part in this, and it doesn't seem like they do. So I mean, she is all wrapped
by
up.
design.
Well, because doesn't Guy like goes off on her about her friends?
Yes, because she tells them that she's going to see Dr. Hill.
Yes.
Is this what all these bitches are?
Yes.
Telling you or whatever?
And then all of a sudden, the pain stops. Mm-hmm. Miraculously, it just stops.
Well,
and that's when she can feel it kick too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she says something like, the baby's alive, it's moving.
Yeah, and she said, and I just thought back up there. I just thought it was funny because she's asking Guy, like, don't you want to feel? And he's like, no. And I'm like,
interesting.
Why don't you want to feel, Guy?
Right.
And not your baby in there?
Yeah.
No.
So then we kind of get a little montage. They're turning that one room into a nursery.
Ugh. And yellow. All that ugly yellow stuff.
What is the baby name she keeps calling?
There's a
Andy and
Sarah. Jenny.
Towards the end, it's Jenny and
it changes.
Little Andy or Jenny.
Yeah, I think it's Sarah at one point.
But by the end, it's Andy and Jenny.
Yeah, and then by the very end, it's like fucking Damien or something.
So Rosemary gets a call that Hutch has passed away. He regained consciousness enough to tell his friend to get a book to Rosemary, and that it is all she says is it's an anagram, and then the book is on witches.
It's called All of Them Witches.
All of Them Witches.
So low key, when she said that it was an anagram, I was looking at the book title trying to figure out words.
I was too.
And I was like, what is that supposed to say?
I was like, what's the anagram? I don't understand. But it wasn't the title. It was Stephen
Mercado's name.
Mercado's name is an anagram. And he had it highlighted and everything
underlined. He had things underlined, and then she realized, oh, this is what the anagram is. And it's an anagram for what?
Roman
Cassavetes.
Yes.
So is it okay? So it's his son, right?
Yes.
Roman is his son, Stephen's son, but then the other guy, the one that we talked about earlier.
Wait, no. Stephen and Roman are the same person. He changed his name.
Stephen changed his name to Roman.
Stephen / Roman
is the dad.
Is the dad? Okay,
yes.
That's right.
Which
okay.
Andre is also
Adrian.
Look at us. Andre, Adrian.
Adore Delano.
Stephen, Roman, whatever.
Sarah.
Doesn't he have like a picture of Adrian Mercado above their fireplace? In their house?
I think that might be later.
Maybe later on, which is why it wasn't.
I think that's later.
On display.
Yeah, I think that's later.
Yeah.
So
everybody's waiting.
Rosemary gets.
Sorry.
Rosemary gets out her Scrabble set and discovers that Roman Cassavet is an anagram for Stephen Mercado.
Who knew that them playing Scrabble an hour ago?
It was gonna come up later.
Even that was foreshadowing.
Yeah. Yes.
A lot of foreshadowing in this movie.
So she then has she has an appointment with Dr. Saperstein. Mm-hmm. So this isn't the part where I think we're going to go. She has an appointment with Dr. Saperstein. She walks out of the office, she throws the necklace away, and she goes to a bookstore to get some more books on witches. Because she has another appointment with him later that's more important.
Because Guy got rid of her other one.
Isn't that convenient?
Well,
why did he say he threw it away?
He hit it up on the
top
first, and then he moved it. And she said, and she makes a comment like, well, that was a gift from Hutch. And he was like, well, you have memories. You know,
but he did throw it away.
He absolutely threw it away. But when she goes to this appointment with Saperstein, she's confiding in him a little bit and like telling him stuff. And I'm just sitting there thinking, bitch, don't tell him anything.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Because all he's going to do is run around and tell Roman and Minnie and Guy and all of their friends, Laura Louise,
and all those other ones.
All those people. But she did go get her book. No,
she got 2 books.
She did. Now, on her way, though, she's like casually walking around in traffic. Like, bitch needs to get it together.
Oh, she was in a daze or something. She almost got hit a few times.
I mean, she no regard to those taxi cabs.
She didn't care about little Andy or Jenny then, but...
No.
Well, I don't know when I want to bring this up, but... I mean, I guess no better time than the present. But, like, the whole Saperstein stuff... I mean, did you think that Saperstein was like... Because I started to kind of question a little bit of his part in all of this, obviously. But I kind of thought that, like, maybe he wasn't necessarily, like, in on it as much as maybe Minnie and Roman, almost kind of the same way that they, like, manipulated Guy. I think they needed a doctor in their pocket, so they're like manipulating Saperstein too. Like, I don't know that he's so much like...
Well, I almost think that he was in on it because the whole when Hutch meets Roman and they start talking about Saperstein, well, that's when he's like ears perk up. So I feel like maybe he knows that Saperstein does some shit with these people.
Hangs out with them.
You know what I mean? Like, he knows.
And it also makes me think maybe Dr. Saperstein is such a successful doctor because of what happened with Guy.
Yes, because
he's part of this and
getting
getting rewards for it. So after all this, Rosemary calls the actor that went blind and finds out that Guy, I'm going to say took his tie, but that he asked him to borrow his tie. She then realizes that Guy is part of this conspiracy against her.
Yes, because...
Our plot. She uses one of those words, conspiracy or plot.
I can't remember the actor's name, but... So his tie's missing, and Hutch's glove is missing. And you see Roman, like earlier on when Roman and Hutch meet, like Roman's kind of like lingering, and then he leaves. Like, it's kind of like, that's a little... sussy. Well, it's because he took his glove.
And I think it's in one of the books she reads how they can do these things, but they have to have a personal item.
Yep.
And that's what leads to this phone call to the actor. So she leaves with a suitcase and goes to Dr. Saperstein. Talking to his secretary, she discovers, I put that he's also a warlock, but he's part of the plot against her. That's a male witch.
I'd say he's a Satan worshiper. Hail Satan.
That too.
But he uses tannis root because the secretary says...
recognizes the smell.
She's like, oh, your scent is so much better than that.
Yeah, and she's like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, oh, the tannin, like the whatever, I knew it right away because Saperstein...
smells like that.
Smells like that too.
And you can just see Rosemary go, oh, shit.
Oh, I have to go outside. My husband's waiting for me.
So then she goes to a payphone and she finally gets a hold of Dr. Hill and begs him to meet her, and he finally says, relents, 8 p.m.
8 o'clock.
I'm not working today, but okay, 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Hops in that cab, makes the guy wait for her.
Yes.
And Dr. Hill probably thinks she's loony. Okay? Loony. Honestly, the only part of this movie that surprised me a little bit is he seemed very receptive to what she was saying. Like, he remained calm. He wasn't like... what? Like, he just was like,
because she lays everything out there.
Yeah, all out on the table.
But she does say, "You think I'm going to be I'm crazy?" But
yeah, But it does seem like he's receptive. So then when he tells her to go lay down,
Take a nap.
I was like, for a minute there, I was like, wait a minute. Does he believe her? But then, of course,
We find out.
shocker, he doesn't.
So she goes to Dr. Hill. He tells her to take a nap. When she is awakened, she discovers Dr. Hill has brought in Dr. Saperstein and Guy, and they immediately take her back to the apartment.
He ratted her out.
And
That
I
pissed
always-
me off so bad.
Yeah, and I always notice in these like scenes, like I guess Guy does really play this guilty conscience thing up a lot. Because like even in that scene, it's like he won't even look at her.
Nope.
So, which I mean, she literally said that.
Yeah.
You never look at me anymore.
He
Well,
doesn't, because he's guilty as fuck. Okay, so when they take her back, you see all these like random people walking around, and I just, who are these people?
There are a ton of people
They're
there.
just random people walking around their place.
Was this
Oh,
this
that
when
was-
they show that like those two people that just kind of like skipped across the
Yes.
Well, we skipped that whole part. She drops her purse. Dr. Saperstein and Guy start picking up, and she makes a run
Oh,
for
she does
it.
try to get away. Yes.
And she gets in the elevator.
What a dumb move,
and makes
though.
it
You're
into
gonna go
her
upstairs
apartment.
to your house that he no doubt has a key for.
Yes.
And-
she makes it to the bedroom, and that's when you see these two witches walk by.
Frolicking around like a little schoolgirl.
They just like prance.
Yeah.
They totally do through like the door front, like you can see it.
So then Guy and Dr. Saperstein make it in there, and they put some, I think, like a cloth over her mouth to try and drug her, and she immediately goes into labor. So when she comes to, she is told it is fine, it is a boy. Then she awakens again, and she is told that the baby has died.
Yeah, there were complications.
Yes. So while being bedridden and being taken care of by the Cassavetes' friends, she hears a baby crying.
Laura Louise.
But it's another lady, too. Laura
Well, it's
Louise
two.
and another
yeah,
lady.
it's Laura Louise and another woman, yeah.
So she starts hiding the pills that they are giving her in the bedpost.
I love the scene of her putting it in there, and you see that one little pill in there,
And then by-
the next scene, there's like 10 of them in there.
Yes.
And like, thing I like about Rosemary is she catches on. Like, she's not a naive housewife that just wants a baby and a fam. Like, she's smart. Like,
Yes.
she's paying attention to all this stuff. You
My
know what I'm
first thing would be
saying?
like, why the fuck are you two in here taking care of me?
Yeah, literally. Where is my mother? Where
Or
are my
where's
friends?
where's my husband at
Yeah.
this point? Like
Yeah.
I barely know you. What is her name?
Laura Louise.
And you, tall bitch, I don't even know at all.
Yeah.
And you're giving me pills and food?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, she's definitely not stupid.
So when Guy is over at the Cassavetes for a party, Rosemary finds that there is a secret entrance to the Cassavetes apartment.
But I just have to say, they're using.
Oh,
she has
God,
to-
I forgot
she
about
has
that
to,
whole
like,
thing. Pump. It's an
pump,
old-fashioned
right? She's
pump.
got to pump her breast milk because she's obviously got breast milk. She just had a kid. But I just remember sitting, like, when we watched it this time.
I didn't know that's what it
thinking
was
that-
at first, though, because that's like old school.
Well, yeah. I mean, it looks almost like a baby bottle, like just a
Yeah.
weird-looking baby bottle. But she was pumping, and Laura Louise and whatever the other woman's name is, they're having her pump.
Norma Jean.
And I'm thinking, oh, my God, they're taking that milk and giving it to the baby. Mm-hmm.
Because she put that's her being smart. She's like, oh, I forgot this cup and this
Yes.
spoon, and she puts it in there, and
Laura
Louise
Louise
is like, no,
Yes. Yes.
because she is smart.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Rosemary, nothing gets by her, really and truly.
So what? Because you're about to talk about the closet.
Yes.
I was like, wait. So you were up in that closet, putting those shelves up
Yeah,
with that
how many-
pattern paper.
How many times was she in that closet?
How did you never?
I almost wonder if this goes back to you, what you said about Rosemary. I wonder if she finally was like, that's why that fucking secretary was in front of that closet, because it's backed up to
Yes.
their apartment. I think she kind of realized that, and why she went immediately into that closet.
Well, and the thing about it, like you think now, obviously the woman that died there was trying to keep them out of her apartment.
She was trying to get out of there, and that happens to be that note that she found. I can no longer associate with
Yes.
them, and
Yes.
obviously they killed her somehow.
Yeah.
So Rosemary goes into the apartment with a knife, and
She's got some balls, dude.
she discovers that baby's alive.
She goes in there with that
I love the
knife.
way she walks in, and they're all like,
Yeah, but it's
Deer in
weird
the
too
headlight.
because she's just like, I'm here. Like she, like it's not like she ain't sneaking around or anything.
No, she doesn't. I mean, she
she
doesn't
owns,
even really.
she owns the place.
Yeah, she just walks right in there. Just like I love it because it's like Minnie made herself comfortable in her house so many times. It's like she's doing the same thing. She's walking in with that knife. But this is when you see all the like there's some weird looking
All the art's back up,
photos
yeah.
up on the wall. Yeah.
This is the weirdest, I have to say this is the weirdest group of Satanists I've ever seen in my life. It's like grandma and grandpa and your auntie.
That's what I said. Seniors, they're all older, so they've clearly been doing this for a long time.
And hearing them say, "Hail Satan," is
Hail
so
Satan.
funny to me.
Hail Satan. So proper.
So long story short, she discovers the father is Satan. Roman wants her to take care of the baby. She is the mother after all. Hail Satan.
The kid's name is Adrian, by the way.
Oh, did they name it Adrian?
They named it because they said, Hail Satan, Hail Adrian. And
so they
What does
named
she?
him after
What does
the
she
dad.
scream? She goes over to the bassinet.
he has, oh yeah.
And-
what's wrong with his eyes?
Yes.
And Laura Louise or Minnie. One,
She has
or
her
maybe it's Roman. I don't know. But
Oh,
they
you
say,
mean when Laura Louise is over there rocking that baby to death?
That was
Literally.
not gentle.
Literally. And she was like, you're being too rough. And Roman's actually like,
He's like,
no,
they're too
it's-
old to.
Roman says, no, let Rosemary.
He
He
is the mother. She is the mother after all.
Well, and it's just weird to me because then I think through the whole movie, okay, they wanted this baby, right? They wanted the spawn of Satan. But now it's like, it's almost like maybe they didn't just want to use her to have the baby. They want her to like take care of him.
I think they're exploiting her like motherly instinct.
Probably.
I don't know why, but I love the way
I mean, they're
Mia
obviously
Farrow
trying
says
to,
witches.
Witches.
I just love the
does
way
say
she,
that,
she
doesn't
says
she?
witches.
I like it. At one point, Rosemary sits down in that chair, right? Before she gets up to go over to the bassinet. And like, guy comes over and he's like talking to her. And I was like, dude, read the fucking room. She is not interested in you. Move on.
I also love Minnie. She just comes up. She's like, "This will calm your nerves." And she's like, "Oh, is it a drug? It's just Lipton."
yeah, as
mean-
if admitting that the other stuff has had stuff
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah, like at this point, it's like, well, we got our baby, so we don't really care what you know. Like, it's
Well, I mean,
done.
I feel like they are trying to kind of, I mean, last ditch effort really to try to convince her to kind of be a part of all of this. When
Yeah.
Minnie was like, "Oh, he chose you of all the people. He chose you."
Well, and to Roman's point, they're all old.
Yeah, because he says that. He's like, "They're old. You can take care of the
Yeah.
baby."
And then it just like you think back to like Terry, who was living with them. Okay, well they were obviously trying to get
Impregnate
well, we're
her.
gonna take this woman who has no family, even though she has a brother. Like they're probably not in contact since he's in the Navy and it's the '60s, and you can't just text somebody. You know, like we're gonna use this woman and then probably kill her.
I also wonder if maybe they wanted to use obviously Terry, but given her history and the things that she partakes in, maybe it just was not happening. And at that
True.
point, they were like, "Well, if we can't use you, then
You just got to get rid of her.
yeah."
Yeah.
Or maybe that was a sacrifice to like ensure that Rosemary would become pregnant, because it seems like,
It could be either or, yeah.
you know,
I would also like to note, Guy does come up to Rosemary while she's in that chair, and he says, "They promised me they wouldn't hurt you," and she fucking spits in his face.
she does.
So that's
Well
over.
deserved spit in the face too.
Yeah.
But you know, by the end of it, it's like almost like she's warming up to the fact that she's carried the spawn of Satan.
Oh yeah, I mean, by the end of it, I think, like you said, they're pretty much exploiting her maternal like instincts a little bit, because she didn't.
She carried it for 9 months. She birthed it. She
And it's like,
doesn't
even though
matter
she
if it's
saw
Satan,
it,
it's her son. So
she saw it, and it was obviously like, you know, what's wrong with his eyes? But then she was like, "Oh well,
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen, like,
The full baby.
Something.
Well, doesn't someone also say, did you see his hands and his feet
Yeah.
too?
Well, and I think it's because, like, when you see the devil and his, like, he has hooves. Like,
Cloven.
maybe not hooves, but, like,
cloven
like
hooves.
animal. Yeah. So,
Because we only get that little flash of the eyes, right?
That's during the rape scene.
Well, no, like during the bassinet scene at the end, they like do like a quick
Oh, I remember that.
If they
over
do,
the screen of
there
the eyes.
there must be, like, maybe a unrated version or something, but what we watched, there was no scene.
There wasn't.
What'd you watch it on?
Peacock? Paramount?
I was gonna say I watched
Prime?
mine on Paramount.
There wasn't, because I kept waiting for it, and there wasn't.
The only scene where I remember different eyes was during the rape scene.
Yeah. And I almost wonder if it's one of those things where the eyes are so prominent in that rape scene, you think that maybe you saw the baby's eyes. But I definitely don't remember seeing them.
I mean, that scene where she just looks at his eyes, that's like the picture that you see everywhere because she's like gasping. But no, the version we watched, I don't remember any eyes at the end.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Power of suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, because now I'm like questioning. Because I'm pretty certain that they like. It's not like they show. The camera does not show his eyes. It's like a faded.
Well, and the only reason why I say I don't remember it is because I specifically remember sitting there thinking, okay, are they going to show it? Are they going to show it? No, they didn't show it.
I was thinking the
'Cause
same
I couldn't
thing, too,
remember
and
if
they
they showed
didn't.
it or not.
I remember thinking the same thing, too. They were going to
Like a
go
quick-
in and then go into the bassinet, and that was going to be the end of the movie, and I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
And then they play that creepy
La la
la
la.
la la la.
It sounds like Mia Farrow to me. I'm wondering if it's her.
It could be.
I'm going to have to look that up because I'm very curious. And I also am still curious about what a vodka blush is. I'm very curious.
So the movie's over.
Before we dive into those final thoughts, it is once again time for Michael's favorite segment for the first time this season, Horrified Theater. Mike, please tell me what we're going to be doing today.
Well, before we dive into all of this, I do want to mention that we got a new sponsor this season for our Horrified Theater. Our friends Jesse and Brittany over at Danger Zone Video, local video store here in, well, I guess it's Nashville, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Mount Juliet.
Yeah.
Are graciously giving us their words.
They're
this
lending their
season.
voice this season.
Yes, they are.
I'm very excited about it.
Very much appreciated. Okay, so look, y'all. You know I struggle with finding the perfect scene.
Can I tell you, I feel like every time we start, you always say,
Look, y'all. Well, because sometimes it's just hard.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I get it.
There's part of me that like thinks about it in a way that's like, I don't want to like do some big massive scene at the end of the movie in case people do want to watch it. I don't want to just like
Ruin the climax.
right.
Okay.
But then, sometimes it just gets kind of boring if like you just pick a
Yes.
random scene that has no whatever.
But I mean, to be fair, like this podcast is full of spoilers.
I mean, this is true. If you're listening to the episode, you're going to get it spoiled.
Yeah.
So watch before you listen.
I mean, and we do ask that people watch along with us for fun. So, I mean, I think whatever you pick is fine.
Well, so the scene that I went with was actually the dinner scene with the four of them.
Okay.
And the only reason I picked that was because I felt like it was probably one of the most foreshadowing scenes of who they are, what kind of like relationship this is between the Cassavetes and Woodhouse? And then it's one of the only conversations that we get that brings up any sort of religious talk.
Okay.
So now, with that being said,
So there's 4 characters.
I don't know who's playing who.
Okay.
So
You know what I think we should start doing is just drawing out of a hat.
Well, especially if there's more than... I mean, I guess we could do that regardless.
Yeah, but anyway.
I don't know how you want to go with this, actually. So, because obviously it's the 4 of them. So I don't know. We can't have the same person playing Guy playing Roman because they talk to each other.
So it almost seems like somebody needs to be both of the Cassavetes.
I guess
Right?
that would probably be the easiest way. Because...
Well, I would like to...
is there... But there's talk with Minnie and Roman.
Yeah.
But you can switch your voice up for that.
I would like to nominate myself for the Cassavetes.
Okay.
That's fine.
I was
me.
really hoping
Fine by me.
I could play Minnie. But
Do you want to do Rosemary?
I think Michael should do Rosemary.
Okay.
So you're going to have to get real, like...
Sultry and...
sultry and sweet and Mia Farrow-esque.
Okay.
Think you can handle that, sultry and sweet?
Mike,
I'll try.
Can you play a douchebag?
I mean, look, if I can play if I can play Barry Cox and I know what you did last summer, then we can do this. Don't think I realized I'm not actually going to read like a whole lot because like obviously there's a lot of like narration in this.
There's not a whole lot.
I mean,
Oh, there's a little bit.
yeah, but if it's not crazy long, I'll read it. If it's
Okay.
like some big long paragraph intro and I ain't doing all that.
Okay.
But just to kind of set the scene, we are inside, the Cassavetes apartment, which we've kind of already talked about what that looks like. This little scene, obviously their apartment's a bit more bare than maybe
Under normal
than normal, yes. And Roman's making them their vodka blushes. Minnie's just kind of like setting the scene, being a host, graciously entering them into their home, blah, 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 blah. And then we just kind of dive right into, what is it? Mr. Cassavetes.
What's up, y'all? It's your favorite movie maniacs, Jesse,
And Brittany,
from Danger Zone Video.
voted Nashville's best new video store.
And you bought the ticket? Now it's time to take the ride. This is Horror Fried Theater.
I seem to have overfilled the glasses. No. Don't get up, please. Generally, I pour these out precisely as a bartender. Don't I, Minnie? Just watch the carpet. But this evening, I made a little too much, and rather, I'm afraid there we are. Please, sit down. Mrs. Woodhouse?
Rosemary takes the glass, thanks him, and sits. Miss Cassavetes quickly puts a paper cocktail napkin in her lap.
Mr. Woodhouse, a vodka blush? Have you ever tasted one?
No.
Minnie.
It looks delicious.
Rosemary smiles vividly as she wipes the base of her glass.
They're very popular in Australia.
Mr. Cassavetes takes the final glass and raises it to Rosemary and Guy.
To our guests, welcome to our home.
Mr. Cassavetes drinks, cocking his head critically, one eye partway closed, the tray at his side dripping on the carpet.
The carpet!
Miss Cassavetes chokes and points at the carpet. Mr. Cassavetes looks down, then holds the tray up uncertainly.
Oh, dear.
Miss Cassavetes thrusts aside her drink, hurries to her knees, and lays a paper napkin carefully over the wetness.
Brand new carpet. This man is so clumsy.
Do you come from Australia?
Oh, no. I'm from right here in New York City. I've been there, though. I've been everywhere. Literally. Oh, you name a place, and I've been there. Go ahead. Name a place.
Fairbanks, Alaska.
No, I've been there. I've been all over Alaska, Fairbanks, Juneau, Anchorage, Nome, Seward. I spent 4 months there in 38. Where are you folks from?
I'm from Omaha. Guy is from Baltimore.
Omaha. It's a good city. Baltimore is too.
Do you travel for business?
Business and pleasure, both. I'm 79 and I've been going one place or another since I was 10. You name it, I've been there.
A bell pings in the kitchen.
Steak's ready! Don't rush your drinks now, Roman. Take your pill.
Guy, Rosemary, Mr. and Miss Cassavetes are sitting at the table eating.
No pope ever visits a city where the newspapers are on strike. I heard he's gonna postpone and wait till it's over.
Well, that's showbiz. Mr. and Miss Cassavetes laugh, Guy along with them. Rosemary smiles and cuts her steak. It's difficult to cut and flanked by peas and mashed potatoes. From her expression, we can gather it doesn't taste good either.
That's just what it is. The costumes, the rituals. I think we're offending Rosemary.
No, not at all.
You aren't religious, my dear, are you?
I was brought up Catholic. Now, I don't know.
You looked uncomfortable, dear.
Miss Cassavetes stands up and starts to collect the empty plates.
Well, he is the Pope.
You don't need to have respect for him because he pretends he's holy.
Good point.
When I think what they spend on robes and jewels.
Miss Cassavetes serves the dessert, Boston cream pie.
A good picture of the hypocrisy behind organized religion was given, I thought, in Luther. Did you ever get to play the leading part, Guy?
Oh, me? No.
Weren't you Albert Finney's understudy?
No. We can see from Rosemary's expression that the Boston cream pie isn't too good. She looks at Guy, but he's eating away avidly.
That's strange. I remember being struck by a gesture you made and checking in the program to see who you were.
What gesture do you mean?
Oh, I'm not sure now. A movement of your
I used to do a thing with my arms when Luther had the fit, a sort of involuntary reaching.
That's it! It had a wonderful authenticity to it.
Oh, come on now.
Oh, no, I mean it.
That makes two of us. Guy laughs, but he's pleased. He casts a bright-eyed glance at Rosemary. She smiles back. Miss Cassavetes holds out the Boston cream pie towards Guy.
Guy!
Oh, yes, please. Rosemary looks in surprise at Guy, who's helping himself to the dessert.
My father was a theatrical producer. My early years were spent in the company of such people as Mrs. Fisk, Forbes, Robinson, Majeska. You have a most interesting inequality, Guy. It appears in your television work, too, and it should carry you very far indeed, provided, of course, that you get those initial breaks. Are you preparing for a show now?
I'm up for a couple of parts.
I can't believe that you won't get them.
I can. In the kitchen, it's small and has the miniature greenhouse, which stands on a large white table near the one window. Gooseneck lamps with bright bulbs. In the remaining space, the sink, stove, and refrigerator stand close together. Miss Cassavetes stands at the sink, washing up. Rosemary stands beside her, drying. The pile of clean dishes beside her indicate that they have been in the kitchen for some time.
I'd like to have a spice garden someday. I'm a country girl at heart.
Do you come from the big city?
What?
Oh, family? Do you have a big family, Rosemary?
3 brothers and 2 sisters.
Are your sisters married?
Yes, they are.
Miss Cassavetes pushes a soapy sponge up and down inside a dinner glass. She's a slow and thorough washer. Rosemary has to wait each time, towel in hand, for the next piece.
Do they have children?
One has 2 and the other has 4.
Well, there's a chance you have lots of children, too.
Oh, we're fertile, all right. I've got 20 nieces and nephews.
My goodness!
Would you like me to wash and you dry for a while?
No, this is fine, dear.
Rosemary looks outside the door. She can see only the end of the living room that has bridge tables and file cabinets. Mr. Cassavetes and Guy are out of sight. A plant of blue cigarette smoke lies motionless in the air.
Rosemary!
Rosemary turns. Miss Cassavetes, smiling, holds out a wet plate and a green rubber-gloved hand. Back in the living room, Mr. Cassavetes and Guy are sitting facing each other on this settee. Guy's looking at Mr. Cassavetes, fascinated. They smoke for a moment. In silence, Rosemary appears in the doorway.
Take Kennedy, for example. Do you think it could have been a plot of some kind?
Miss Cassavetes comes past Rosemary into the room.
Now, Roman! You stop bending Guy's ear with your Majeska stories. He's only listening because he's polite.
No, it's interesting, Mass Castavet.
You see? Minnie! I'm Minnie! And he's Roman, okay? Okay!
Okay, Minnie. And that's where we'll end scene. That was long.
So you've survived another horror fried theater. Congratulations. If you would ever like to come peruse some wares, maybe come purchase a movie mentioned on this podcast, come down to Danger Zone Video, 11942 Lebanon Road, Mount Juliet, Tennessee, 37122. Come visit us and leave absolutely horrified.
First of all, that was long, and I did not think Mr. Cassavet had that many lines, which is why I offered to do both.
You had the most.
You definitely
I had
did.
the least.
I kind of thought
Thank God.
there was honestly more conversation between Mr. and Guy.
Yes.
I thought that there was.
I don't know. I just remember thinking, oh, yeah, dinner scene. I feel like it's kind of separated, so that's why I was like, oh, I'll do both. It's fine. God, that was it. Oh, Lord.
Welcome to the season.
Welcome. It's now time for our final finger-licking thoughts here at Horror Fried. We rate our films using the heat scale of Nashville's famous hot chicken on a scale of 1 to 5. No spice, mild, medium, hot, and Nashville hot. Who wants to start us off today? Great.
Bueller.
Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I can start. I'm a little nervous.
Why?
Okay.
Because I feel like I might be the odd man out on this.
Okay.
I'm a medium.
Okay.
What? Okay.
Yeah, see? I told you.
You don't know what I'm thinking. I just guzzled a glass of wine. Sorry. Okay.
I feel like this is like a classic horror movie, which it is.
Uh-huh. No,
What
go
was
ahead.
that?
I'll say it in a second. Go ahead.
But like, I don't know. It was, it's a little slow for me. Mm-hmm. I honestly didn't remember that this movie was 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Very long.
And I was like, what? Like, I did not remember that. And I was just like, I don't honestly, I was excited to watch it again because it's been a very long time. I knew the premise. I knew what was going to happen. I knew all the things. But I was like, this wasn't as good as I remember it being. I kind of wish that, like, my memory of it was...
Really?
Yeah, like, I mean, I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
obviously,
it.
Yeah.
I
mean, a medium's not a bad score, but...
No, I wouldn't give it anything below that. And it's really just the pacing and the kind of, like, blatant foreshadowing and stuff, which it's also a sign of the times, I guess. It wasn't like... You don't have twists and turns in movies in the late 60s like that.
Well, in the 60s, people may have thought it was a twist. Like, maybe they thought, oh, maybe Rosemary is crazy.
But the one thing that I love the most about it is the fact that it was something that came out in, 68, right?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you didn't see movies that dealt with, like, Satanism and, like, witches, really, or any of that kind of stuff to this magnitude. Mm-hmm. So, I'm a 3. I'm right down the middle with it. It just kind of was a little, like, lackluster.
I gotcha.
With the medium, what do you mean, though? 3, 3.5? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a 3. I'm just straight down the
Okay,
middle.
so here's what I was going to say. I'm glad you brought that up. I think this season we should make it a little harder because I feel like the last 2 seasons were a little too loosey-goosey. Well, I'm going to give it a 3.75. I'm going to give it a 3.25. I think we should keep it.
Even numbers?
It's an even number.
1, 2, 3,
Either
4,
it's
5?
a medium, it's a hot, it's a Nashville. Like, it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it'll make it a little bit more, I don't want to say difficult for us, but it'll make us think a little more about, okay, well, what I really want to give this movie.
Right.
Okay.
You know? So I'm glad that you gave it like a solid medium. Having said that, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump on
Yeah, go ahead.
I give it a hot. Okay, definitely not like one of my favorites, but okay, 2 hours and how long?
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Before we sat down and watched it, I was like, how long is this movie? Because I knew it was a little longer. And when he said 2 hours and 15 minutes, I thought, God damn. Because, y'all, a 2 hour movie for me is not it. I like a good, like, hour and a half movie, hour and 45 minutes. Like, when you get over that, like, hour and 40 minutes, God, I got to sit in front of this television for 2 hours. But I like a slow burn movie, and I felt like it did not feel like a 2 hour and 15 minute movie. And I even said that when it finished. I said, I don't feel like I've been sitting here for 2 hours. But I think it's just, I like a slow burn movie, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's very good. I think the performances are pretty good. I mean, Ruth Gordon, as many as to me, steals the show. I love Mia Farrow. I don't think she's like a super great actress. Okay, so having said that, though, I said earlier she reminded me of Emma Roberts. I feel the same way about Emma Roberts. I feel like Emma Roberts is good. Do I think she's like a tremendous actress? No. So I'm just telling you, and y'all don't come for me because I love Emma Roberts and I really like Mia Farrow in this movie. I just don't think she's like, oh my God, what a fucking performance that was,
Right.
you know? But I do think she was good in it. But I like it. I enjoyed watching it again. And, you know, like, Mike, this has been a minute since I watched it. I actually think I watched the remake not too long ago, maybe while I was working from my work from home job.
Was Zoe Saldana?
Yeah, and remember thinking,
I've never watched that.
Not great, you know, but I do like Zoe Saldana.
Was that like
but
2016-ish?
It wasn't
Yeah,
made for.
was
Was
it?
it made for TV?
It wasn't super long ago, but I feel like I've watched that one more recently. But yeah, I would give it a solid 4. I think it's definitely a hot. Michael.
I'm gonna give it a hot as well. I've always enjoyed this movie. I like the way it's filmed. I like the surrealist dream sequences. I like the performances. For some reason, I love the way Mia Farrow says "witches." Witches. I just love it for some reason. And then, like you said, Ruth Gordon. I mean, she won an Oscar for this movie.
She sure
so
did.
She's great in this.
And that's a rarity in the horror film.
Yeah.
Or the horror film. Oh my
Especially
God. Y'all,
then.
had too much wine. Horror-filled. Yes,
Yeah.
especially back then. Like, that was... I feel like Rosemary's Baby, though, was like a low-key horror movie. You know what I mean? Because the
Yeah.
majority of it isn't very suspenseful. It's more dramatic to me.
Yes.
You know, when you're trying to figure out what's... You know, okay, like, I want to see how this plays out.
Which,
putting
to be
the pieces together.
fair, we're probably going to have quite a few of those this season.
Oh, for sure.
Because, like, when you talk about supernatural, it doesn't always... Like, I feel like there's, like, a...
Is there a ghost? Isn't there?
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
ghost?
like, it's not...
Yeah.
It's almost like Supernatural's very, like, horror-adjacent, sort of, in its own little...
Yeah, because, I mean, there's a few on our list this season that are 100% like full-fledged horror movies.
Right.
But there's also some that are not,
Right.
Yeah.
you know?
Slow burn. Someone's being gaslit, which is always a slow burn. So I get
like
it.
a slow burn. I don't know what it is, but
I
as
like
long
if
as
you
the
get a payoff.
Yes, as long as the payoff is good, that totally make it for me. But again, this movie to me did not feel like a 2 hour and 15-minute movie.
No, it
because
didn't.
I feel like you're so like involved with what is going on, and you're like anxiously waiting for what's going to come next.
Once she realizes
What's
what is happening,
Yes.
that whole end part of the movie is great. Especially
Well-
when she goes in that apartment, she doesn't give
a fuck.
a fuck.
Well, see, for me, that's kind of what it is. The second half of the movie, for me, is where it's at for
Yeah.
me. So,
Yeah.
like, basically the last, like, 45 minutes of the movie
Yeah.
is...
And I do love the character of Rosemary because she's very real. She catches on. She's smart. And, you know, there's all these final girls that people talk about in movies these days. Like, they're always making some kind of I feel like Rosemary never made a mistake. Not really.
Other than marrying Guy.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
Right.
honestly, let's be real. Had they not messed the Castavetes, like, this probably
It would
would
never
have
have
never
happened.
happened.
Yeah.
So, he's just easily
Well, yeah, because, I mean,
influenced.
prior to it, shit, they were very much in love with each other.
Yeah, you can tell. There's a big difference
Yeah.
between how they were in the beginning with each
Towards
other
the end.
towards the end of the movie. So, thanks so much for joining us, y'all. If you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and rate the Horror Fried Podcast and catch up on all our previous episodes on your favorite streaming service. Links are available on our Instagram page. Once again, we'd like to thank our friends Brittany and Jesse of Danger Zone Video for hosting Horror Fried Theater this season. Y'all can find them on Instagram at Danger Zone Video. Join us next time as we skip forward almost 10 years and we cover 1977's Suspiria. Have y'all seen it?
I have not. I think
Many a
I'm the
time.
only one.
I've seen it enough times.
Well, it'll be interesting to see where I fall in this.
I'm very curious what you think about it. I just feel like at this point I'm so biased, you know what I mean? So like in my head I already know what score I'm going to give it. But I'm going to go in with an open mind and look, if this is the first time y'all have listened, I am not a fan of Giallo movie. Like there's only a handful that I really, really like, and the rest of them I feel like are so out of left field. Like I just don't get it. Like it's not my thing. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what Mike thinks. So make sure to tune in. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Listen, Rosemary, I got a 2-inch thick sirloin steak sitting defrosting right this minute. Why don't you and Guy come over and have supper with us tonight? What do you say?
Oh, no, we couldn't.
Why not?